Hello everybody, Dr. Carmen Bryant, Psychological Health Consultants and Services. My program, Redefining Yourself. It's a program that was developed for women that are contemplating leaving, that need more information, or are survivors of domestic violence, specifically, narcissist abuse. Sorry I'm coming on late tonight. Today is Wednesday, so I don't know when you get this video, but Wednesday night, I really had a full schedule, and so I did want to come on and post a video. I know many of you were inquiring about the trauma bonds. First of all, thank you guys for the emails. Thank you for the posts and the comments. It's really a confirmation that is helping you. And I am so honored. Thank you so much. I know many of you have inquired about the trauma bonds, wanted me to talk some more about the trauma bonds. And so I'll do the part 2 of the trauma bond. And so if you have not seen the trauma bond video, go and see the trauma bond video where I talked about what trauma bonds are. And so I always advise people, don't ask a woman. Well, and remember, this program is developed for women, but men go through the exact same thing. One thing that I advise all the time is stop asking women, why won't you just leave? After watching the trauma bond video, then reconsider the question that you're asking. So let's talk about trauma bonds, okay? So let's go back and review trauma bonds. So trauma bond is loyalty to a person who is destructive. I want you to remember this too. Remember your professor or your teacher used to say, remember this, you might hear it again. Fear immobilizes and deepens attachment. Remember that, okay? So I looked at an article that was written by, let's look who it was written by, an article that was written by Teresa, and hopefully I don't mess her name up, Deschilo, and it's Understanding and Treating Traumatic Bonds. And what she was saying is that while the basic power differential can be seen as a physical strength that the abuser holds over the victim, this differential can also manifest in financial matters, as in many cases the abuser is in control of the finances. Emotional abuse, which can contribute to a power differential, as the abuser can convince the victim that she is useless, no good, and can't live without him. Remember, another one under the heading of power differential is the situation wherein the abused person experienced social isolation. So remember, when you go back and look at the definition of domestic violence, this is what it's talking about: domestic violence. So the financial abuse, emotional abuse, and the other abuse that goes along with that. And we'll talk about that later. We'll go back and redefine the domestic violence. Okay. And so there was a writer, Allen, 1993, that stated that the continual overpowered person feels increasingly incompetent and helpless, even more reliant on the person with power. Moreover, the abused individual is held captive, secluded from other potential sources of support. So remember, one of the biggest things that an abuser does is tries to isolate you so that you depend on them for everything. They isolate you from other sources of supply. They isolate you from other people that can give you information. Think about it. Even with you guys watching these videos, you're getting information that you wouldn't have had. Well, you may have had if you wouldn't research it, but a lot of the information that many of you said that this information is new information to you, that you knew something was wrong, but you never have the information. Well, an abuser will make sure that you don't get this information because they're losing their strength. They have to be empowered by what they say to you. And what they do and what they convince you of. And so let's go and look at, remember the term Stockholm Syndrome. The Stockholm Syndrome is a name given to the situation wherein hostages bond to their captors. Trauma bonds and Stockholm Syndromes are well, some researchers say they're exactly alike and some say they're different. But with regards to battered women, that's what they're talking about. The following 4 conditions must be present for the Stockholm Syndrome to develop in abused victims. A person threatens to kill another and is perceived as having the capability to do so. So when you're in a domestic violence situation, especially in a very violent one, they're all violent, especially a very violent one where the abuser threatens to kill you, the person that is being threatened or the victim perceives that that person really has the capacity to do so. The next is cannot escape, So her or his life depends on the threatening person. So it gets to a point where you may be isolated or held captive, or the keys to the car has been taken away from you, so that abuser makes it impossible for you to get away from them. And so now your life depends on the person that's threatening you. The threatened person is isolated from outsiders, so that the only other perspective available to her or him is that of the threatening person. So the person makes sure that you're isolated, so that any information, any perception, any knowledge, education, or anything comes from the abuser. The threatening person, the abuser, is perceived as showing some degree of kindness to the one being threatened. And we're going to talk about that, because that's how trauma bonds are created. Okay, so let me go to the next one. So let's talk about recognizing if you're in a trauma bond. Okay, recognizing if you are in a relationship that is being held together by trauma bonds. Okay, so the first thing is, and this comes from Counseling Weston Supermare, and this is trauma bonding, Julia Crane Counseling Services. There we go. Okay, and this is her site. I like this. There's another one I really like, and I'm gonna do that one last. Okay, so here's some ways to recognize if you are in a relationship or if you're caught in a trauma bond relationship. Number one, you stay in relationships with people who use or treat you badly. Who use or treat you badly. I want you to meditate on that for just a minute. You stay in relationship with people who use or treat you badly. The next thing, you cover up or make excuses for your partner's anger, abuse, or addiction, or you keep making excuses about the way that they're treating you. Oh, he's just tired, or she's just having a bad day. Okay? You continue to support someone who is financially irresponsible. What if they've taken your money and they won't allow you access to that money, and they are financially irresponsible, but you continue to support them? You continue to support them. Okay? You repeatedly invest energy in trying to get your partner to see the light. So you take a lot of time always trying to explain something to your partner, or you're taking a lot of time to show them that their ways are wrong, or you're taking a lot of time and energy. You're talking to an adult. You're talking to a narcissist. You're talking to a person that knows what they're doing and exactly what they're doing, and they're not listening to you anyway. But you spend a lot of time and energy, and you're wearing yourself out. You don't listen to trusted friends who are worried about your situation. Your partner expects you to isolate yourself from others and always behave as expected. So your behavior is determined by the abuser. Okay, your behavior is determined by the abuser, and the abuser is going to tell you how you are to behave, or how you're supposed to conduct yourself, or what and what not you are, what and what you're not supposed to say. Okay? You and your partner have destructive arguments in which you hurt each other physically or verbally rather than try and resolve the issue. You have given up your sense of self to meet the needs of someone who is selfish and uses you. Narcissist, remember? You are preoccupied with a previous partner who hurt or used you. Okay? So those are some signs. So let me get to the one that I would like to get to. This one is really good. This one comes from the blog site Central. And this is really good. This kind of conveyed my thoughts. Let me see. This was written by Andrea Schneider. She has a master's in social work, and she's a licensed clinical social worker. And this is really good. And this is like 3 reasons why trauma bonds with a narcissist are hard to break. So the first thing is, let's understand what the trauma bond is. So in here she said, people with extreme narcissism demonstrate a propensity to hold their partners in a state of power and control, whereby emotional abuse manifests in the form of gaslighting. Go back and watch the video Gaslighting, where they're trying to drive you crazy and make it seem like you're going crazy and what you see is not what really is. But go back and watch the video Gaslighting. The silent treatment. Any of you guys relate to that? They give you a silent treatment. They don't talk to you or have anything to say to you. And cycles of idealization, meaning they idolize you. You know, you're this wonderful human being, and then they devalue you. and discard. Okay? What ends up happening through cycles of abuse is the development of what trauma specialist Patrick Carn coined trauma bonding in Carn's 1997. Okay? So let's look at these three things. First of all, clearly the target of the person with extreme narcissism can easily fall captive to trauma bonds associated with Stockholm Syndrome. We just talked about that, right? So oftentimes, in order to survive psychologically, in some cases physically, terrorizing experiences, victims of this trauma bond subconsciously, meaning that they don't realize that they're doing it, subconsciously identify with their abuser. Okay? So let's look at here. I'm trying to skip over some of the examples she was giving. So when a narcissist or an abuser uses torment and harassment, physical abuse, extreme psychological abuse, even threatening your children, when extreme torture or abuse, and we'll talk about that too, physiologically, the brain becomes rewired to believe that the survival depends on the abuser. Okay? Let's go to number 2. In abusive romantic relationships, the abuser with extreme narcissism also intermittently develops a cocktail of love bombing in the initial stages of the relationship, where intense sexual chemistry, future faking of marriage proposal, and whispering sweet nothings of soulmate status to their target creates an intense high of oxytocin and dopamine. These are the two chemicals which facilitate attachment and bonding. Watch this. The neurochemical high can be so potent that some say it's just like a hit of heroin. Think about that for just a minute. I'm going to go back and repeat what I just said. Okay? The intense high of oxytocin and dopamine, which are the two chemicals which facilitate attachment and bonding, and this is by Ulf, 2015, the neurochemical high can be so potent that it's almost like a hit of heroin. That's powerful. When the abuser begins his or her devaluation stage, the target will often cling to the remembrance of the initial stages of infatuation, attempting to move the relationship back to the way it was in the beginning. They're looking for that high. They're looking for that high. They've become addicted to the abuser. Number 3, the abuser with narcissism, they're not bonded to the target. They're attached to the target like a leech. And so as soon as they extract all the supply that they need, you know, you were one way when you met the person, a powerful woman, beautiful, or man, a powerful woman, you know, you were smart, intellectual, had a great job, or have a great job, you know. But as soon as they drain you of everything they need from you, you would literally feel like a shell of the person that you once were at one time. That they have sucked you dry, and you are totally opposite than the person that they met. And just as quickly as that abuser has extracted the narcissist supply, they quickly detach from you and move on to another partner, leaving you emotionally bleeding. Remember, they're going now to seek another source of supply. They have to go seek another source of supply. That's their high. So now you're left confused and bewildered, you know, and you're a survivor now. And now you're having feelings as if you're having drug withdrawals. That's how powerful this trauma bond is. That you'll feel like you're having drug withdrawals to include depression, anxiety, and complex PTSD. Remember the PTSD and the complex PTSD video. Go back and look at that. PTSD, when a traumatic event has happened and you're reliving that event, you know, and there's symptoms that go along with it. And complex PTSD, meaning that you had to relive the event over and over and over again, which is usually what happens when you're in a domestic violent or narcissistic relationship. So now, complex PTSD has been developed as a result of the trauma bond. So now, is it possible for the survivor to recover? Of course it is. Go back and listen to the one where I said stop rushing people into you know, rushing them through the grief process. You know, first of all, understand that these bonds are, think about it, these bonds are so powerful that the dopamine and the oxytocin in your brain, it feels like a hit of heroin. I don't know how many of you have been former users. I've never used, but think about it. That's how powerful the game that they're playing. That's how powerful these chemicals are in your brain to create trauma bonds. And then you ask the question, why didn't you leave? There's a chemical reason why the person hasn't left. That's how powerful these trauma bonds are. My advice to you is that when you first of all, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to recognize the fact that you're in an abusive relationship. Stop making excuses. One thing you notice is if you continue to make excuses for the person that's abusing you, especially a narcissist, you're always coming up with an excuse, always having an excuse. You may want to check yourself. That's a red flag. Number two, you're always explaining away their behavior. That's number one. You're always explaining away your behavior. Number two, if there is a traumatic event, if they're tormenting you, if they're torturing you, if they're isolating you, if they're locking you in rooms, if they're abusing your children, but then they turn right back around and tell you, but I love you so much, and sometimes I can't control myself, and you have to help me, and you got to get me help, and you're the only one that understands, and think about all that they're saying. You're the only one that understands. You're the only one that understands me. You're the only one that stayed. Everybody else has left me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me and my kids. But then they turn right back around. They get that high going again because that's what you were looking for. They get that high going up again, but then they turn right back around and traumatize you again. That's called a trauma bond. So I didn't want to stay on long because I know I came in kind of late. Hopefully that kind of added to the trauma bond one that I did, and I just wanted to add that back in there because I wanted to talk about that chemical bond too. But that was just a little more information, again, just to add to the first video I did about trauma bond. I encourage you, ask me questions. Send me some questions. If there is particular questions that you want to know about trauma bonding, if there's particular questions you want to know about any of those videos, you are more than welcome to email me at Dr. Carmen Bryant, DrCarmenBryant @outlook.com. Send me whatever questions. I thank each and every one of you that have been posting on my YouTube channel. Please join my YouTube channel. Come join me on my YouTube channel. Go to Dr. Carmen Bryant with a T. And it says Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. So there's a Carmen Bryant, but I guess that's the rapper Nas's ex-girlfriend that has a baby. That's not me. I'm Dr. Carmen Bryant with a T. Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. And subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell so you can see whenever I upload a new video. You're welcome to go to my Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services. And you're welcome to like the page. Please, if I do not know you, don't friend request me on Facebook on my personal page. That is reserved for my friends and family, those that are near and dear to me. That's my personal space. But you guys are more than welcome to go on my professional Facebook page. You're more than welcome to please subscribe to my channel. Email me. Post something, post some remarks. Let me know how this is helping you. I've had, and I sent a shout out to you, Miss Linda W. and Miss Lady Danielle. Thank you so much for making comments on the YouTube channel. Thank you for letting me know this is helping you. Thank you for letting me know that, what I'm doing is not in vain. I want to help as many women as I can, and a lot of times it comes with giving information. If you don't know what you've been going through, I was one of those people that was in the dark. I did not understand what I was going through. I knew something wasn't right, but no one taught me about this. I did a lot of research for myself, and then I found out that it actually had a name. It was called narcissist abuse, and so I made it an adventure. I have made it a mission in life to make sure that I educate other women concerning narcissist abuse, because a lot of those details people did not tell me. And now I'm giving this information out based on research, based on my experience in a clinical setting, and based on personal experiences and experiences from people that are willing to share their story. And I was amazed at the fact that, hey, we're not alone. We're not alone. A lot of you have sent me emails and said the same thing. Oh my gosh, someone put a word or name to it. Or oh my gosh, someone has said that's exactly what I went through. I am so honored. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with me. I am so honored. I really am. I am so thankful that you're willing to tell me that these videos are helping me. Those, I mean, that are helping you, of course. You know, that these videos are helping you. Continue to put them out. As long as you keep watching them and liking them, send me questions. Let me know, you know, what you think about the videos. You know, let me think about the tell me something about the trauma bonds. You know, make a comment and let me know something about the trauma bonds. Tell me your experience or ask me a question. You know, I'm available. You know, when people come into my office, they have to pay to come see me. You know, I'm setting up a coaching program now so I can extend outside of the walls of Washington State as a licensed clinician. I will not be able to provide mental health services outside of the walls of, because I am confined to Washington State. That's where my license is at. But as a coach, you know, I will be available to provide coaching services. We can set up a plan, whatever you want to do to get beyond where you are, because you're powerful and you're great. And just you watching this video and you making a decision to leave, or you thinking about leaving, or you're starting to contemplate some things that you've been going through, you're even questioning whether or not this is love or not. Does he really love me? Not if he's doing this, and not if he's a narcissist. You know, some of them will charm you. Some of them will love bomb you. A lot of women say, hey, but you know, he bought me this beautiful home. I got a nice car. I have this nice furniture. I have this nice, you know, my family's great. But it's an extension of themselves. They're not going to, you know, some of them are not about, you know, looking good and not having you look good at the same time. You're a part of that facade. But let something happen to you. End up in a wheelchair or on crutches, God forbid, you know, let something happen. Let that pretty face get messed up. You know, let something happen where that source of supply starts running out, or they feel that you're starting to understand what they're doing. They will snatch away. They will, 9 times out of 10, they're already looking for another source of supply. And sometimes it's not a source of supply for them to leave you. It's just an additional source of supply. That if they get an inkling or a thought that you may try to leave, you know, they will already start looking for another source of supply. And it's just like the car that I told you about. When you get rid of a car, you know, when a car breaks down, it's time to go buy another car. It served its purpose. It served its purpose. Now I have to go get another car. I love my car. I even think about it. In years to come, I'll probably talk about my favorite car. My most favorite car was the car that I have right now, which is a Camaro. But if it breaks down, I'm going to buy another car so that it can serve its purpose. I need to be transported from here to there. And eventually, I'm going to have to get rid of it to go get another one. I can't drive it forever, right? Well, a narcissist feels the same way. You are a source of supply that serves a purpose. And when they have depleted you from what they need, they'll leave. Some narcissists, they get older, and when they get older, they start losing their looks. And a lot of narcissists are very attractive people. And some of them, you know, you look back after you leave the relationship, you start questioning yourself, like, what was I doing? You know, what was I smoking? What was I drinking? You know, you look back and you've made some horrible decisions, but that lets you know how powerful their game is. You know, that if you can say, you know, I would have never chose a person like that. I would have never dated anybody like that. This is so outside of the scope of where this is trauma bonds. This is narcissist. This is the whole platform of narcissist abuse. Hopefully this has been helping you. Thank you guys so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Carmen Bryant, with a T, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Hit the bell. Make sure you stay tuned so that you can see whenever I'm uploading videos. Please go to my professional Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services, and email me, Dr. Carmen Bryant, DrCarmenBryant, @outlook.com. Hopefully I didn't just chit-chat. And sorry coming on so late. I had a lot of clients, but like I said, go make some comments in my comments on YouTube. Make some comments on my Facebook page. Email me. Talk to me. Tell me some things. Talk to me and ask me some questions. I love answering questions. And I especially love recognizing you, men and women that ask questions. You guys have a great, great evening. And as my friend always say, go and be great.